Hey YouTube, Great League officially ends tomorrow, and that is it for the season. There's only 4 more weeks left after this, and there's no just pure Great League anymore. So thought I would bring you sort of the best of the rest. 3 other teams that I used that got me a decent amount of wins, and then I switched it up and tried a different team. So not enough to bring you a full video on these teams, but good enough to get some wins to showcase here today. So 3 teams, timestamp below. Medicham, Umbreon, Togedemaru. So this is just a variation of my Trevenant, G-Fisk, Togedemaru team. I think that this team has more pros and cons compared to the other one. So the other one has, this team's like sort of double weak to Trevenant, right? You're going to lose Trevenant lead and backline there. You're still double weak to fighting in the back too. So it has a little more issues, which is why I don't want to showcase it purely. I think this team does have more strengths though, because with the thing with the other team is if you get up against a there was core breakers for starters, like there was like Obstagoon beat the G-Fisk, Togedemaru, Trevenant line. Plus if you got like the Owl on the lead or just got on your Trevenant, it's like an automatic loss, right? So I think this one, all 3 of these have more play in the Great League, right? I mentioned in my video this morning that I think Umbreon is one of the best save swaps, and I think it's going to be on my team number 3 too that I ended the day with. Yeah, team 3 is what I ended this morning with. So I think Umbreon in this meta is very underrated just because you're going to lose to Medi, sure, but like it's not even that terrible of a loss because you get these foul plays off. And just think of the meta, like you do okay against like everything. You do okay against, you actually beat the Owl and G-Fisk and Lanturn, I'm pretty sure. And the tougher against Registeel and Bastiodon, but at least you can chip with them. You just kind of hang in there with everything. And that's kind of what I like about it. And you have answers to Trevenant and Sableye, which are everywhere still. So I think Umbreon's underrated. Don't need to go over Togedemaru too much because I've used it so many times. Just like absolute wall to the Owl. Some of you in the comments mentioned like you tried the team and it didn't work. So the thing with the Togedemaru is, first of all, if he gets on a Trevenant, G-Fisk, Swampert, it's just like you can quit because the game's over, right? It's just a hard loss that you can't do anything to. So that's the only problem. It still takes like 50% surfs from Lanturn too, right? Sparks are resisted, but surf still does like 50%, so 2 will take you out. So how I basically, that's why you kind of need to draw out a Swampert or Fighter, or hopefully like a Trevenant in the last one to deal with it, right? Otherwise, like what you're using it is for the Owl matchup, right? As if you see my videos, you just like farm up, you take 1 Shadow Ball, and then you have back-to-back wild charges and throw the wild charges, stuff like that. In terms of baiting, someone asked me a question about baiting. I don't think there's a ton of reason to bait, but that's not totally true because the bait actually buffs your attack. So there's some times where I'm like, I will bait just because you don't want to like lower your defense right away. Let's see what I do here. Yeah, I'm just going to bank that move and come in here because I know they're still switch locked. Probably shield because Flamethrower will hurt, and I am loaded with energy. Togedemaru, so that's fine. Out comes this. They're going to have to shield or else I'm going to get the full farm here. Or, yeah, full farm on. So I could have gone, this is like a perfect example. I could have gone Wild Charge and taken this out. But then I was worried that, wait, do they have a shield left? No. Then I was worried that if I did that, I'll lower my defense times 2, and that these smackdowns probably would have taken me out. So that is one time where like I know it doesn't take me out, and I buff my attack knowing that I'm still going to get to the wild charges here. So you don't need to throw the wild charges right away, just because like you don't want to lower your defense times 2 because it's so glassy to begin with that you kind of need to just like understand your condition, and it only comes with practice, right? I know how to use it because I've used it a bunch of times this season. And Ninetales comes in here, which is fine. It's running. That's not enough to a Dazzling Gleam, so that's fine. I will eventually get out into Togedemaru here, but I'm probably just going to throw Psychic and burn at least one shield, knowing that they already threw the Weather Ball here. Let's just burn this shield, and I'll probably try and catch on Togedemaru. Yeah. And this is where now it's like, in this situation, it's just like there's no point of shielding, and there's no point of throwing her right away. You just like, you can take these Weather Balls. Don't take a third one, because the third one will take you out. But make sure you just have a bunch of energy coming out. Actually, I think I could survive a third one, but I'd rather not risk that. So let's just get a bit of extra energy, throw it. This will 100% take it out. And Lanturn will come back in, and you're going to get at least one more off here. I'll just try and CMP, because I know that I'm going to win CMP there. They aren't throwing yet, which is fine. They're sparking me, so even if they're not going to take me out with sparks. I'm an electric, right? So here comes the third wild charge. Going to do a ton of chip damage. I won't get off a fourth, so I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going to get off the fourth. Let's just get out of there. There's no point in getting farmed down, and I'm on 2 shields, so this game's over. So Medi is just Medi, right? I actually used Medi with Power Punch in the back. It's one of those things where having played with it for a few matchups, this is what I found with Power Punch in the back Medi instead of Ice Punch and Sidekick. I was right. If you're using Power Punch, you need to use it in the back. You can't use it on the front. Like if you're using it on the lead, Ice Punch and Psychic is the way to go. If you're using it in the back, what I found was Pop was really only good if you got locked into a good matchup, right? Because if you got into like, I think it was what the problem was. I got into like a shields down matchup where like a Psychic would have taken out, but I only had Power Punch and Ice Punch, and like they outpaced me to like multiple moves before I can get to it. Like Power Punch did anything, right? So it really only works Power Punch in the back is if you're like locked on to like something weak to fighting, and you can just like ramp up, because then when the next Pokemon comes back in, it's pretty good. So I think in general I prefer it on the lead with Ice Punch and Psychic, but not to say that you can't use it in that situation. Cofagrigus, Grimer, Lanturn. So again, Lanturn I've already used multiple times. I think it's one of the strongest Pokemon in this meta. You're going to be weak to grass. So to cover my grass weakness, I put in Grimer because like one of the best sort of grass answers in this meta is Trevenant. But you're already weak to Trevenant in the back, and Trevenant just gets walled by the owl, which is everywhere. So I thought, let's just use a neutral type Pokemon that can do okay against everything that I just mentioned. Does well against Lanturn, everything on the meta. Owl, Medicham. It's rough against the steals like G-Fist, Bastion, like tough losses there. But outside of that, it just kind of like stays in with anything. Crunches really hurt. Like it does at least 50% to everything. It's kind of glassy though for a level 51 Pokemon. So then I need a third. The front two are weak. The back two are weak to Swampert. Sorta. Like Lantern's actually much better against Swampert than a lot of people give it credit for, especially if it's a shadow, and especially if you can shield up an Earthquake properly. Plus, like Medi, you can do okay against Medi, but like G-Fisk is a little tricky too. So I decided to go Cofagrigus, because for those of you who've never used Cofagrigus was bursted onto the scene because it just dominates Defense Deoxys. It dominates most things. In this situation, like if you have a shield advantage, you're fine. So I got the last shield down. I'm just gonna force them to throw on this, and then I can Shadow Ball for the win with a shield advantage. So goodbye, Grimer. Thanks for your service. Cofagrigus is a beast. Cofagrigus is a beast. If you are in a limited meta tournament, Cofagrigus is like always one of the top picks. The problem is it gets destroyed by Darks because you don't have anything to throw, right? Your moves are either Psychic. It's Shadow Ball. It's always usually Shadow Ball, and then Dark Pulse or Psychic as your second move, which is just brutal against Darks. And with the Owl, your Shadow Claws resisted. You can only throw Dark Pulse. But look at that tank. Like that's an Earthquake, and I'm still like comfortably in the yellow. So I take that. They still are at a Earthquake because they got up a lot, so that's fine. Lanturn can just come and shield this and just get ahead on energy here. I'm at 1 surf. I'm at 2 surf. So if they shield, I can just go back to back here. I remember this game has a lot of jumping around because our switch timers were very distinct. So they caught on the Swampert, which is fine. Because again, Swampert, especially your shadow version, still takes about just under 50%. Plus these sparks add up. I'm like, that's not an earthquake. So that's not going to take me out. So now I can get the surf. And if they shield, I can either probably shield back and take this out. And then just let it go. So, okay, that's fine. Out comes the Frostlass again. So I'm just going to come in here and get advantage here because the claws are adding up. So Cofagrigus is like super strong. Great answer to Medi. Great answer in neutral situations like G-Fisk, Bastiodon. G-Fisk, Bastiodon, Registeel, like the steals there. Great against Medi. Bad against Sableye. Neutralish against Trevenant. And just terrible against Darks. But in neutral situations, it's bulky, it's spammy, Shadow Claw and Shadow Ball. Good attack. They snipe me here, that's fine. I'm going to shield, bank that move, and then I'm going to come in and surf. So a lot of jumping around here, I remember this game. Bank that, take this out. And I'll be able to take out the Frostlass with ease between Lanturn and loaded Grimer. So I like the team. You kind of have to use, you don't have to use Grimer, but you do need an answer to like Trevenant. If Trevenant's on the lead, I wouldn't mind just staying in with your Cofagrigus, quite honestly, and throw like a Dark Pulse, and then you can be able to like a safe swap. Could be Drapion, could be Umbreon. Like you're not weak to fighting here anywhere, right? So it could be Umbreon as a safe swap, Drapion. Either of those work as a safe swap. And the third team I finished off with today, still like 2860-ish. I was up and down. So about 2860-ish, heading into Ultra League tomorrow. Dedenne, Umbreon, Swampert. Again, I just think Swampert has too much play in this meta, quite honestly. With like the Trevenant's gone, like even in like matchups against like, again, it has like great matchups against everything except Trevenant. Even the Owl's not terrible. And I'm using Shadow, so it only takes 2 Hydros to take out the Owl, so it's not bad. Umbreon is your tank mid-game here. That's fine. I'm coming in here. I guess I could have had a Trevenant, but I was ahead on shields, so I was not worried about that because I could just like shield and take switch. And they end up using their second shield here. And I'm like, okay, you're probably pretty weak in the back to this. And it is Swampert, so I'm just going to EQ this, take this out. So goodbye. This is where the Shadow comes in very handily. Very handy. So take that out. They're going to come in probably with their Ninetales. And then I'm like, I'm just going to bank that. I don't want to have to throw that. So I'm just going to bank this. They're not going to get to Dazzling Gleam here, so they can ship me a bunch with this. I'm just coming out loaded with energy. This is what Umbreon does, right? Just take the damage. Still have moves. It is a G-Fisk. I almost saw this game because I'm like, I swear, in my mind this morning, I'm like, I have a Hydro Cannon loaded. So does not matter. I can just come in. As soon as he throws the Earthquake, I'll just come in and snipe. Shield this because it's probably an Earthquake. They bait with Rock, so I'm like, whatever, I'll just come and snipe with Hydro. I'm like, oh, I'm 3 short for some reason. I was like, okay, clearly not on the ball, but in the end, does not matter because having thrown back-to-back Rock Slides there, they're definitely dry. They're not going to get to an Earthquake before I get to 2 foul plays. Yeah, I remember this. I was like, what am I doing? I think I've tracked my energy a little better than that. Like, being 1 off is one thing. Being 3 off is just terrible. Dedenne is... I don't know. I've only ever been disappointed using it. It's so glassy. Like, look at these claws add up. I'm going to bait here. Knowing that I can... they'll probably shield because I haven't thrown any energy yet. Even in my gut, I knew, like... Because these claws are doing out, they're just going to foul play and bait me. So I just let it go. But But like they can shield and farm down if they want, which I'm not going to allow them to. I'm going to throw this in bail once they shield. So I got both shields, which is fine. Even against the owl. So you're going to see, I'm pretty sure the owl's in this matchup. Is it in this matchup? I show the return because I'm like, they're probably just going to throw a return. Yeah. So I do get, oh, no, I'm going to chip a bunch here, so you're not going to see. A discharge from Dedenne only does like 55% to the owl. So it does only take 2 to take it out, but it's just like, come on. Like, it's so weak for how glassy it is. Like, this is why I just prefer Togedemaru. Like, you're going to lose anyways to G-Fisk and stuff like that. I'd rather just have an absolute wall to this, have the wild charge, which nukes, as opposed to Dedenne, which just like is kind of weak and glassy. So I will be able to take this out here, just because. But even those wing attacks, like that's resistor wing attacks, almost taking me out there. That's, yeah, very disappointed in Dedenne. I guess the pro of it is that it's half fairy, so instead of being weak to fighting, like with all the Medichamps around, you are gonna be resisting the counters. So that is okay. And then I have good alignment here plus shield advantage. Again, trickier when you're a shadow because there's only 2 to take you out. So I just need to make sure that they do not catch this earthquake. So I'm just going to wait till they throw that spark and then throw the move. Take this out. And now I'm going to get to, I have a, yeah, I've got a shield advantage. So I can shield up a foul play if they throw it. But one Hydro Cannon is a beast of a move. Swampert is so strong. Anyways, those are the 3 teams. Yeah, in the ending, like if I found a third that worked better for this pairing of Swampert and Umbreon, I probably would have used something better. Like you need something to deal with. I was trying different combos in the front. Dedenne got me the most wins, even though I was disappointed with it. Just because you need something for the owl, right? The back, you're basically covering most of each other's weaknesses. You need something for the owl, and you also need something for like a fairy, because your shadow. Because I saw, was it with this team? I saw Shadow A9 with Charm, and your backline just gets kind of shredded. Like Swampert gets 2 Hydros off before they can charm you down, but they charm you down and come out loaded. So I think you need like maybe like I was gonna say Registeel, but then you're double weak to fighting on the front. So it's tricky. This is why people use Lanturn instead of Swampert in this scenario. Anyways, those are the teams. So Ultra League teams and suggestions tomorrow morning. Little Cup tomorrow afternoon. I will put out a poll probably sometime this afternoon, probably before this video goes up, asking you what you will be playing this week. I've got to imagine that the majority of you will say Ultra League, or neither, but there's only 4 weeks left, so if you want to grind, you probably need to. I don't think a lot of people will play Little Cup. So that is it. Appreciate the thumbs up and comments, and I will see you guys in the next one.